Well, hey everybody, welcome to our weekly dose. This is Erin Harrigan, your Hustle with Heart coach, helping everyone attain results for total health with Arbonne and helping entrepreneurs align results to God's truth. I want to give a special welcome to anybody that is not watching this live, but is listening to it as part of the Hustle with Heart podcast. If you are listening to this on the podcast, you're going to hear me You're going to hear me call this our weekly dose. And that's because we have this very special group here in Facebook called the Success God's Way Community, a community of God-centered entrepreneurs who are building business that honors God and serves his people. So for my podcast listeners, make sure you get over to Facebook and join us in Success God's Way. But for those of you already part of Success God's Way, I just want to give you a great big thank you. Thank you for inviting your friends. Thank you for being part of this community. Really looking forward to getting more engaged with everyone and adding a couple of days during the week where we're going to pray through for you. We're going to ask you some things that you want us to pray over for you and really leverage and harness the power of having so many of us God-centered entrepreneurs together. So this week, we are addressing a challenging topic. Interestingly, FOMO, or fear of missing out, is an innate human characteristic that we have because we as human beings don't like to be left out. Like, we want to be part of big things, and that's a fantastic thing. At the same time, there's a tremendous amount of marketing strategy built in most businesses around the fear of missing out. So I don't know if this happens to you, but when I was first getting married and starting a family and we were building our first house, I was dying to have everything in my house be Pottery Barn because I was like, oh, look at that. That's amazing. It's beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with having beautiful things, but I was feeling like I was missing out because I'm like, wait, all these people have all this beautiful stuff and I want that in my house too. So the fear of missing out, or FOMO, there's even commercials that talk about FOMO. So it's quite fascinating to me. And it really dials into this human trait of the relentless pursuit of more. And God does make us to be more in the world to impact his kingdom, especially as God-centered entrepreneurs. At the same time, the pursuit of more from a worldly sense is an insatiable desire that is a thirst that can never be quenched. And the only quench that can happen for our thirst is really in the Lord. But this fear of missing out drives sometimes a lot of what we do. So I want to address this week, and here's why, you guys. So every week when I come to you, I really pray over, Lord, what do you want me to express this week as your messenger? I'm so privileged and so honored that God has chosen me to be a vessel for this message of building success God's way, using my hindsight to be someone else's foresight, building from the testimony of my story and his glory in it. And so when I come to you on a topic, it is always because it's a topic I've either faced or am currently facing. And so I'm just going to be super vulnerable with you, as you know me to be, and say that I was dealing with a little bit of FOMO this week. So last fall, when it was announced the dates of our global training conference for my Arbonne business, it hit right up against some other family priorities that we had. So I made the decision not to go. The beautiful thing about technology is that I could tune in virtually. So I spent late into the evening, Thursday night, watching the live that was going on, the live launch of our products. I watched some sessions Friday and Saturday, and I have some others to catch up on. But I had this moment where first I was cheering my friends walking across the stage. And then I had this other moment where I was like, oh, I want to be on that stage. But I know that for me right now in my life, that's not where God has called me. And I am crystal clear on that because he continually shows me that. But at the same time, he hasn't called me to let go of my Arbonne business. He's just called me not to pursue specific promotion in that business right now. So as I was walking my dogs on, I guess it was Saturday morning, I think, I was really struggling with this in my head. Like, why do I feel this way, Lord? Why do I feel this way? And what I really felt the Lord saying to me was, that's not your stage. And what I took that to mean is not that it will never be my stage, not that I will never be on that stage, but that what he has in store for me is not that stage, but some other stage right now. And then I thought about some of my amazing friends who, 2 years ago, it was them and one other business partner. And then now there's 50. And just the amazing growth that they've had. And I found myself going, well, why not me, Lord? Kind of like a little 4-year-old, right? Like, why? Why not me? Why not me? And if you're a parent or you've overheard parents say this, when their kids say, well, so-and-so's mom lets them do that. And the parent says, well, I'm not so-and-so's mom. I really felt like God was saying, that's not the path I have for you. Like, that's that path. And I gave that person that path. And that is one of the big things that I've called that person to. But I've called you to something else great. And not in the face of competition with that person. Not that what God has called me to or called them to is better than the other person. But just that he's called us to something very unique for each of us. So that's how this idea of FOMO for this week's topic came to me. But here's what I want you to know is that we spend a lot of time in this world focused on ourselves, me. It was so funny today in church. There was an Edge drama. Edge is the name of our our drama troupe at church, and they did this. They did a skit where it was an image consultant, and she was meeting with a young guy, and she was saying to him, "No, you need to be thinking about you and only you." And that's kind of what the world wants us to do. And honestly, guys, that's what the enemy wants us to do. Because if he can get us not thinking about the Lord, not thinking about serving others, and only thinking about what we're missing out on and what we're discontent about, that is a win for him. But I want to flip this idea of FOMO on its side. And I want to challenge you to think about FOMO as the Lord saying to you, focus on me only. So if the Lord were telling us about FOMO, he would say, focus on me only. And he would say, focused on Christ until you shift. So until your mind shifts. Another acronym for focus is follow one course until successful. But I want to challenge you as a God-centered entrepreneur that one course needs to be the course that the Lord has given you, what he has called you to. And so very often I find myself, even though I'm crystal clear that the Lord has called me to be the Hustle with Heart coach to help entrepreneurs, and at the same time, help people be healthier through Arbonne, but not vice versa in priority, I find myself like, I'm focused on too many things, and I want all of these things to happen. And I feel like God is going, stop. And he's kind of hitting his head like, why do you keep doing this? So here's the thing. Focus requires abiding in him. And if you listen to my podcast or you watch this live recently about abiding, in John 15:4, which is the foundational verse for Hustle with Heart, it talks about, like Jesus says, abide in me as I in you. And it goes on to talk about that we are the branches of his vine. But abiding and being connected is what the focus on him is all about. So focus on him only, his FOMO message to us. So I want to walk you through a few scriptures tonight that are really about focus. And we're going to start in Joshua. And as always, I will post these reference verses here in the Success God's Way community. And for the podcast, they'll be in the show notes. So I want to start with Joshua. Now, if you've not read Joshua, it's a fantastic book. Joshua 1 is one of my very favorite chapters in the entire Bible. And I'm going to take you through Joshua 1, 7, and 8. And this is what it says. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Verse 8, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night. Be focused, right? That you may observe to do according to all that is written it. For then you will make your way successful. You will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. So you all know that I love my Charles Stanley Life Principles Bible. And here's what Dr. Stanley's commentary is on this, particularly verse 8. that we need to be studying the word. We need to be thinking about what we've read. We need to be not looking left and right. We need to be focused. And the only way we can hinder what God wants to do, the victory that he's already claimed, because you've heard me talk about that he's already gone out before us. The only way that we can hinder him is to get selfish, focus on ourselves, and then get all caught up with not believing that he is going to come through on what he said he's going to come through, and not being obedient. So here's God taking us down this road, and we're like, oh wait, shiny object. Oh wait, squirrel. When we start to do that, that slows God down. Imagine it on your GPS, right? You're driving along, your GPS is great, and you're like, oh, look, let me go check this out, and you take a turn. You get on a detour. Guys, that's going to make your trip even longer, and that's the point that God is making when he's saying to us, focus on me only. I also want to take you to Joshua 5:2. So Joshua 6:2. Joshua 6:2 says, and the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand, its king and the mighty men of valor. So this is what Dr. Stanley says. With this promise hidden in his heart, Joshua knew the conquest of Jericho was as good as accomplished. When God leads you along a certain path, you can be sure he has a specific plan in mind. Guys, a plan just for you. Not like Susie Q's plan, not like Jenny's plan, a plan for you. Your response to this reveals your faith. If you say no, that means this is impossible. There's no way this can happen. Little faith says God can do it. Great faith says I'm sure he will do it. But perfect faith says it is done. It is done. So when we're focused on ourselves, we lose sight of what God has already called us to do and the plan that he started to lay out before us. So again, we have to focus on Christ until we shift, until our mind starts to shift. And I'm going to talk about that mindset in just a second. Now I want to take us to Proverbs 4:25 through 27. And this is what this says. Let your eyes look straight ahead and your eyelids look right before you. Again, we're not looking right and left. We're focused straight ahead. Ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Remove your foot from evil. Guys, the enemy wants us distracted, and he especially wants us discontent with what we have, especially when our plans are not aligning to the Lord, and especially when it's like, Lord, you are not moving fast enough. Like, I thought this would be done by now. But that's exactly where the enemy wants us. So here's what Dr. Stanley says about this. God calls us to stay alert, spiritually alert at all times. So we've got to pay attention to what he is saying and how he's showing up to guide us along this path. Again, focus on me only. This is what he's saying to me. Instead of looking around and going, but I'm missing out. Guys, if you've got the Lord, that is really where you have to turn and know that you have everything that you need and you have everything that he's calling you to do. It's really funny. My friend Beverly posted in here, like, she really suffers from FOMO. And I'm like, girl, you got to tune in. You guys, FOMO is a choice. Honestly, anytime that we're feeling discontent or discouraged, or we're looking around and we're like, we don't have that and I'm not there. It is a choice. It is a decision. And it is a statement of priority. So if you choose not to go to an event or you choose not to be part of something, that's a choice you made. And fear of missing out is a choice you make too, right? But you've got to choose to live in God's will and align to him to truly experience the greatness that he has designed specifically for you. So the last place that I want to take you is Colossians 3:2. I told you I was going to get to this mindset piece, so here it is. In Colossians 3:2, it says, set your mind on things above, not on things of the world. And this is what Dr. Charles Stanley says. Our minds are always working, constantly processing information. And what we think affects us more than we realize, because who we are today is completely the result of what we've been thinking. So those of you that know the term, what you think about, you bring about, for those of you that know that there are books that talk about this, again, the Bible is the ultimate resource. It is our great big book of everything, like I talked about recently. It is our go-to resource. That is why us as believers are admonished to focus our thoughts on the things that honor the Lord, because God's goal is to change us into the likeness of Christ, and that transformation begins here in our minds. So this whole idea of FOMO from the world's definition, fear of missing out, is all about where our mind is going. But if we're focused on where the Lord wants, guys, listen, you're going to get off track. We're human. I did that this week. I am not telling you that I am perfect. I am in progress, and thank God that he is still working on my progress. But my point is, with this knowledge that you're gathering tonight, my hope is that you'll open your Bible, you'll look at these verses, and when you start to feel that FOMO seeping in, you could say, no, not today, Satan. I have my mindset on godly things. I am honoring the Lord, and the Lord is saying to me, focus on me only, meaning the Lord. And I'm going to focus there. I'm going to focus on Christ until my mind shifts. And I'm going to focus on one course, the course he's given me, until I see the success that he has already outlined for me. So here's what you're going to do. This is your call to action. Number one, whatever it is that you've set your goals to, make sure you've set godly goals. We've talked about that in the past. Make sure they're aligning to what the Lord has for you. Make sure you're praying over that. Number two, whatever you know that he's called you to do, maybe you know that you're supposed to be on that GTC stage, Global Training Conference, for those of you that aren't in Arbonne. Like me, I know that I am supposed to be helping business owners align results with God's truth. And I know that I'm supposed to speak about this somewhere. I just am not sure yet where that is. And God's going to reveal that to me. So you have to think like it's already happened, because God has already outlined all of this for you. The second thing is you need to speak life into that. You need to speak life into that, and preferably quoting and reminding the Lord of what he has told you in his word. You know, Lord, you have told me to be strong and very courageous. You've told me that no word goes from your mouth and comes back void. You've told me that you are faithful to complete what you started in me. So Lord, show me what I need to be doing to help you in that work that you want to do. Is there anything I could be doing differently, Lord, that could speed up this timeline? And if not, Lord, show me how to be satisfied and content with where my timeline is. And then you've got to take action. You guys, we can't just sit and think about these things and then not take the next right action. And if you don't know what that action is, take a step. You know, if you're like, I don't know if the Lord's calling me to this or this, well, take a little step in each direction and see what happens. See how he calls you. But pray over, Lord, show me where to go. Show me what to do. The last thing is a focused life, staying centered on Jesus, makes all the difference, because he is the only one that can make everything work when our priorities are aligned to him. So go back and read John 15:4 and the verses that come after that, and see that he asks us and requires us to be abiding and aligned to him. Focus on what he's done before. You guys, there's a great song by Elevation Church called Do It Again. Go listen to that. You've seen me post about that before, where one of the parts of the song say, I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe that you will do it again. So remember what he's done in that. And then lastly, just change your definition of FOMO and know that the Lord is saying to you, I want you to focus on me. And if you focus on me and you plug that into your GPS, I'm going to get you where your ultimate destination and your great gifts for me are meant to be. I'm going to get you there, but not if you keep looking around, getting distracted and discouraged and discontent, because that's exactly what the enemy wants. So I hope that helps you with some FOMO. I know writing this out had some breakthroughs of my own. So always vulnerable to tell you I'm walking the path right along with you. So last thing I want to tell you, I have this great shirt on, right? Awesome, right? So one of my coaching clients is Brian Riddle, and he is the CEO of Impact Apparel. I'm going to post the link down here below. Go check him out. He's got some awesome stuff. all kinds of Christian apparel. And I'm just giving him a shout out because I promised him that I would let everybody know about him. So thanks for tuning in. If you're listening to the podcast, really appreciate. Get out there, subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends about it. And if you need help walking this journey of success God's way, let's have a conversation and see if the Hustle with Heart program is the right one for you. All right, have a great week, everybody. See ya.